I think growing up in Bellingham was pretty idyllic. I feel like it's a sign that I'm on the right track, that my routine is very similar to how it was when I was a kid. I wake up super early and I drink my tea and I come up here and work, and I still listen to Harry Potter audiobooks. I was unschooled over on the south side. Unschooling is basically like a super non-structured form of homeschooling. So there was no curriculum and no real structure to our day. We just woke up and did whatever we wanted to do. We had a big yard and knew all of our neighbors, so my sister and I could kind of just run wild in a pack of kids, and then a lot of sitting inside and drawing too. I drew for 5 to 8 hours every single day almost. It was something that I was pretty obsessed with ever since I can remember. So Sonia's Chickens came out in 2015, and that was my first book. I actually wrote that book in college in a children's book writing and illustrating class when I was at RISD. And I put some images from the dummy book I made online, and my publisher, Tundra, contacted me and were like, oh, we happened upon these pictures of this book and we want to see more. And I was kind of like, oh, I don't really have more. It's a dummy. It will never cease to be totally surreal and bizarre that I have written and illustrated books that are out in the world being seen by other people. It's just this is out there, it's in people's homes, it's getting ripped up and drooled on by babies. Yeah. Sonia's Chickens I'm super proud of, and I'm also just so excited to keep making more books because it feels like I have so much more. My brain is in projects that are coming out in 2020, So Backyard Fairies is my book that's coming out in March, and it's based on my experiences kind of leaving letters and stuff for fairies when I was a kid. So it is very rooted in my childhood here and the kind of magic and sanctuary that I found. And my dad would write letters back as fairies, but I didn't know it was him at the time, and so it was this incredibly magical thing to have these real tangible objects as proof that fairies existed and that they were real. So it's not really about the behind the scenes, that might be going on. It's more about this girl who is totally determined that fairies are out there and she's hunting for them, and the whole story is in rhyme, but she never finds them. So the audience sees them the whole time throughout the book, but the girl never sees them, and so ultimately it's kind of about that frustration as a kid, knowing so deeply that something is there, that there's a little thing moving, and then when you look over there it stays still. I would always do that when I was a kid. I'd be my dolls, they walk around and have a life, but when I look over, they all stop. I feel like I am creating for my childhood self, but I also feel like I'm creating for adults who feel connected to that same kind of sense of nostalgia. With my shop and kind of my brand, I think I mostly try and think of objects that I want to design and that I want to have around. Things like my enamel mugs, which have been really popular. I basically was just can I make these? Is that a thing? Can you get those made? And I Googled around and found a manufacturer, and the only place to get really custom stuff like that, the mugs like that, is in Poland. And so my manufacturer for those is in Poland, and it's been a really amazing, fun journey, figuring it out, because the first ones were really a total experiment because I had no idea what they were physically going to look like. The images that I'm drawn to create are deeply rooted in just my own life. So I think that it doesn't feel like I'm not intending to create kind of propaganda, back to the woods propaganda. But as far as books go, usually my characters in my books live in a landscape that is kind of a mishmash Pacific Northwest Bellingham landscape, and that's just because that's what I know. And then you find yourself bringing back in these elements from when you were a kid and stuff like that you realize are kind of your core elements of your identity that I couldn't escape, even if I tried. And I've had times in my where I feel I was just drawing fairies all the time. It's so new agey and cheesy and it's stupid. And then at the end of the day, I'm I don't know, I can't escape it. It's a part of me. And so you might as well just go hard and dive in and not try and avoid kind of these super deep inherent aspects of yourself that are always going to keep popping up, no matter how hard you try to avoid them.